We build on what matters. We build on relationships. We're Home Matters, for people who want more.
This episode of Home Matters has been brought to you by Todd Smith of Capital Financial Partners.
Hey guys, I have got Todd Smith here with me today, Capital Financial Partners. I'll get it out in a second. And he is going to help us with some homeowner insurance questions. Thank you for being here today.
You're quite welcome.
So I've got a guy who is moving into South Carolina from, I'm going to say Maryland, and they have a contract out on home and it's supposed to close in about 4 weeks. They need homeowner insurance. What do they need to get to you to make that happen?
Well, that would be the ideal situation for us, somebody coming in from out of state that doesn't already have an agent. We would love to have the opportunity to work with them. The very first thing we got to have is their full name. If they're buying the house with their spouse, the spouse's full name also, date of birth, social security number. Believe it or not, claims and things are tracked by their social security number, their insurance score. We will need the address of the house and then the details of the house, whether the house has a crawl space, fireplace, square footage. One of the most important things is the age of the roof. A lot of our carriers, so we're independent, so we have a bunch of different carriers, and each one of these carriers has what they call their appetite, what they want in a house to insure it. Some of them say that they will not insure a house if the roof is older than 15 years. And we just had one a couple days ago. The roof was 19 years old. So that narrowed down which carriers could go to that. But the roof does play a big part in it. We'll also need to ask questions like, do you know if you've had any recent claims or not? A couple things that come into play with the claims are if the new client has had claims in the past, or if the house that they're buying has actually had claims on it. So the two integrate together there. So they could have a house that they're buying that has just had a big water claim. And when we run the address, we find that out. But yet this one client had nothing to do with that water claim. And we might have to go to bat with an underwriter to help them out. We need to know what kind of dogs they have. If they have a mean dog, there are lots of carriers out there that just won't cover a handful of dogs like Dobermans, German Shepherds, Pit Bulls.
German Shepherds?
Which is odd. And the people that own those dogs think they're the most loving dogs in the world, but they've got a
reputation
that they could possibly hurt somebody. Then we need to know if you got a swimming pool. Is the swimming pool fenced in? That's a real big thing. Do you have a diving board on that swimming pool, a sliding board? Do you have a trampoline in the backyard? That's a big no-no.
Wow.
And here's one that was very odd that we ran across. Somebody had built a tree house in the backyard. And the tree house was built into concrete on 8x8 post. There was a permanent structure, but the insurance carrier would not cover that house until that tree house was removed. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of things we can get off of Zillow. We can just look at the house. We can tell if it's vinyl sided, if it's brick, if it's got a chimney, square footage, wall space, those type things we can usually get just by looking at the house.
And so some of this information, obviously, this new home buyer can bring to you, but some of it, I guess, y'all would have to collaborate together and kind of research these things.
That's correct. It's always best if we have contact with the person that we're insuring. We A lot of times we'll have someone that will send us a lead to go ahead and run a quote. For the quote to be the absolute most accurate, it's best for us to talk to the client. Number one, we want to build a rapport with the client.
Sure.
If we're going to be their agent, we want to be not just their agent, but we become their friends. I mean, we're part like we've heard before, we want to be part of their team.
Sure.
So if they've got a problem, they can pick up the phone and call us. And we don't want just their home insurance. We want them to be able to do all of their insurance needs with us.
And so, and again, you stated this earlier, but one of the good things about working with you as an independent agent is that you can help them, and I'm going to say shop. I know that's an ugly word, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Shop for the best insurance through different companies for them and that house.
That's exactly right. A lot of carriers out there are what's called captive carriers. That means they only have their product that they can bring to the table. And we go back to that word appetite, which when I first got into the business, I thought it was so silly, but it makes sense that that's the appetite of the insurance company. An insurance company might want that perfect house that's fairly new with the white picket fence around it. Then another insurance company might be willing to take on a little bit more risk with different things. If you're a captive carrier, you only have one appetite.
Right.
I've got 100 carriers. I've got a lot of the mainstream carriers, probably about 10 of those that we can go to for just about any home in this area. And then if there's something just extremely odd, we might have to go into what's called the non-standard market and get a carrier that no other carrier would touch.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, though, the price goes up because there's a reason that the other carriers wouldn't touch it. But being independent is what we really hang our hat on.
Yeah. Well, thank you so very much.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This episode of Home Matters has been brought to you by Todd Smith of Capital Financial Partners. And by Angela Barrett at HomeMattersSC.com. Building on what matters to you.